I met Al Raby, and I like how he was talking because he was talking about how the movement to do things, he kind of convinced me on that, and I brought it back to David by me being the spokesman and stuff. You know,
Right.
we need to make this march with them in Marquette and Gage Park and stuff. And so a few of us did go to Gage Park and march with Dr. King.
So hear what I say, for it is the truth you see. There can only be one, the original.
OG, two letters that define respect. Welcome to the original OGs. I created the original OGs to document the forgotten parts of American history. I want to recognize and give a voice to the men and women that have climbed to the top of their game. Believe me, the men and women that sit in front of this marquee have been authenticated as original OGs. My name is Mr. Rick. Welcome to my world, a world of the originals, the unique. Welcome to the original OGs. Welcome to the original OG. I'm your host, Mr. Rick. Again, we've been walking back in time to find the original story of the Gangster Disciple Nation. We want to clear up a lot of the mess that's been attached to it. You gentlemen lived it, so we're gonna get it from your perspective and shine a little light on the truth of it. So I want to start and ask you, OG, how did you get involved in this situation?
I got involved in it when I was a kid. Before the Disciples started, it used to be 13, 14 of us just running around doing what kids do and stuff, you know. And it was tight-knitted guys. So I've been involved from the beginning or before the beginning, before the Disciples even arose. So that's how I knew.
At that time, we're talking early 60s.
61, 62.
So we're very, very heavily involved in the civil rights.
That came a little later. You know, that came around like 1964, 65.
Right. So what I'm saying is the idea of it and the, how I want to choose the right words, the need for it is being developed at that time.
Exactly, right.
Yeah, so you're with some gentlemen and you're becoming a tight-knitted group, and this spins into an idea. Why?
Well, it spins into an ideal because we had detached workers from the YMCA. And Dr. King had just came to Chicago, and they was trying to get us involved in some of the programs and some of the marching they was doing, the demonstrations. And for one was Gage Park.
Okay.
And we marched in Gage Park with Dr. King.
Okay.
You know, and we was surrounded by a lot of influenced peoples like Anna Langford and Dr. Herbert Odom and stuff like this. So we had some good backers and supporters behind us and stuff. So that was a good thing to do. I helped lead that march in Gage Park with Dr. King.
Beautiful.
And they was throwing rocks and bricks, and we didn't go for that.
So we're at a point now that the table is being set for the civil rights movement at this time. Where's Jesse Jackson at in all of this?
He was with Rainbow Push at the time.
Okay.
And I was trying to think of the name they had before. It was Rainbow Push, though, but he was with Rainbow. He was with Dr. King also, too. You know,
Exactly.
He was one of Dr. King guys, though. Jesse kind of stayed in the limelight with us because he was more involved with Jeff Ford now.
Okay.
You know, so we would see him every blue moon or something like this, though, but Jesse really wasn't involved with us like some of the guys at SCLC.
Okay.
You know, what is his name? I'm trying to think his name now. Jackie Grimshaw and Al Raby. Al Raby was involved, and I met Al Raby, and I like how he was talking because he was talking about how the movement to do things, you know, about the movement that blacks need to be doing and stuff like this, the protesting and stuff. He kind of convinced me on that, and I brought it back to David by me being the spokesman and stuff. You know, we need to make this march with them in Marquette and Gage Park and stuff. And so a few of us did go to Gage Park and march with Dr. King.
Beautiful. Now, question that comes to mind. Now, you gentlemen are what age at this time?
16, 15, 16.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You got a group of 15, 16-year-old gentlemen involved, highly involved in one of the most intriguing, most historical moments
Right.
in our lives,
Right.
in Black America.
Right.
You know, that should send a message to young people today. The obstacles and the condition of that time for a 15, 16, 17-year-old to be demonstrating what you're demonstrating against a state of mind of people, white America, that's really aimed at stomping it out.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty powerful there.
Yes, it is.
It's very, very intriguing. At what point do you guys begin to develop the idea to create this? At that time, the language was being used as club. Is that correct?
Yeah, we call ourselves organization.
I know it. I'm going to respect, and I know it developed into that. But I'm saying in the beginning, the information that's come to me, I kind of lived some of this too. I ain't as old as you are, but I ain't, you know. But anyway, the information came to me, and I know during the time of my life, the language was being used as a club.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair. I'm by that. That's
okay.
That's fair.
So where did you guys begin to develop that part of the idea?
We began to develop. It started from just hanging around and stuff over a bag of potato chips.
Wow.
Melvin Freeman was at Inglewood High School, which is my cousin.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking to it used to be a hangout, Nick and Angels, they used to call it. You know, when you get out of school, you go in the restaurant, play all this music and stuff. And the Inglewood football team, Melvin was talking to one of his girlfriends or something, and he walked up to Melvin and said, "Why are you talking to my girlfriend?" And Melvin said, "If you want her, you can have her." And
Right.
he knocked the potato chips out of Melvin's hand, so Melvin fired on him, hit him.
Right.
And they got to fight, and it was 3 or 4 people with Melvin, you know. And we wasn't no club then, or we wasn't no organization then. And
Right.
he called the whole Inglewood football team down.
Okay.
And they was chasing Melvin, throwing rocks at him, and we was hanging on 65th and Eggleston. Charlie Atkins and them, we had them little portable radios that had the transistors or whatever they call them. Somebody looked around the corner and seen Melvin running down there and seen a bunch of guys running. And it was about 12 or 13 of us, and we came out, and a guy named Laverne Longstreet and Bobby Longstreet and Emmanuel and Mexican Joe came out. And I always put a label on it because I love to talk and stuff and love to tell jokes. Inglewood football team 0, 65th Street boys 100. So,
Right.
And Bobby Longstreet had a Bible in his hand, and Bobby used to read the Bible all the time. And he looked and he said, "You know what? We're going to call ourselves disciples. We're going to help the neighborhood, help the peoples in the neighborhood so it won't be like this." And that's what we started off as a drum and bugle corps, protecting the neighborhood and stuff, because Bobby and Laverne Longstreet was a little older than us. And that started from there. It became the disciples. It wasn't the devil disciples.
No.
Disciples.
See, this is what I'm getting at.
Okay.
See, I've been saying to people that a lot of people misunderstood what happened when these things were given birth. It's like you said, okay, we're going to be the disciples. We looked at a certain book and we decided, okay, that's what we're going to do, because there's some spirituality here.
Of course.
You know, I mean, when you come on the west side of Chicago and you start talking about the vice lords, see, you know, the Black Stones, people don't understand the development of the spirituality that caused these things to happen, because the idea, the name of it had to be a protector.
Yeah.
And at that time, as different things became protectors, it wanted to have the foundation of God up under it.
Of course.
You know, and that's where these ideas were developing from. So it's very important with what you just said, because it clears it up. We haven't gotten into devil disciples yet.
Of course.
See, we're here now, and we're in a pure state. Not to say that that evolved into an unpure state, but we're talking about the purest of the thinking of it. And that's what I want to shed light on, because it's very important that we do that, because certain people want to make the world think that we were just animals. No, we were not animals. You forced us to have to do what we had to do in order to survive.
Very true.
Okay, so we're developing the disciple idea. And as we develop that, what becomes the foundation of the disciples?
What happened is that Bobby Longstreet and LeBron Longstreet, LeBron was the leader of the disciples back then. And he used to have a habit of saying, we're going to be united. We're going to love one another, because that's how we came out with D from the knee, love from the heart and stuff. And we're going to treat all the elderly peoples and the peoples in the neighborhood with respect, and we're going to help them if we can and stuff. So that's how that began, from the from the disciples to just loving one another. We had a thing that was different from a lot of people's realized what we was doing. We had a thing where we didn't force nobody to be with us. Other groups did.
Right.
A lot of people just liked it, our style. We was the best dancers, the best dressers, the best boxers, and we had love. You know, if you wanted to be around, come on around, you know. So that started and it got bigger and bigger and bigger.
Right.
But the disciples, we actually was helping peoples, and that's how we got that name, disciples.
And that's really what most of the organizations
Disciples are follow. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you short.
Say it again.
Disciples means a follower. You know,
Yes.
Jesus the follower.
Exactly.
He was a follower.
He had
so-
disciples.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So that's what I'm trying to clarify.
Okay.
You know, the spiritual base of it.
Right,
You know,
right.
we're not just a bunch of animals just decided, hey, you know, we need to just create chaos. Didn't happen like that.
Sure didn't.
No. Where was David at this time?
David, when the disciples started, he was in IYC, Illinois View Commission at the time. Charlie Atkins was like our leader then, you know, and I wasn't quite spokesman then. You know, I was the guy that liked to play. I was the guy that liked to talk, because I would out-talk everybody. So they kind of pushed me to the front when we need to say something.
Right.
You know, but Charlie Atkins was our leader then, and David was locked up. He was in Illinois View Commissioner at that particular time. I don't even think he knew the name Disciples until he got out.
Oh, okay. Cowboy, at this period of time, David's locked up. They're developing this idea. Where were you?
I was on the street for a while.
For a while. Okay, so at that time, while OG is doing all of this, you know, he and Mr. Longstreet, how did you participate?
Well, I came into it because I got chased on
Okay,
from Lewis Champion. Got in a
Okay.
fight. It's like the whole school came after me.
Hmm.
And I ran into Charlie, Bill Claiborne, which me and Melvin, went to the same classrooms anyway. And they told me don't run. And I told them, they crazy. I said, all
these guys.
You telling me don't run? They say don't run. All right, I would hang out with them.
Okay.
You know, but I actually played baseball,
okay,
you know, and so I was playing for Antioch Church, you know, and I always like to go play baseball. So whenever something was happening, a lot of times I just tell them, hey, I got a game,
right.
you know, and I'm gone. You know, I got drafted actually when I was 14 by the White Sox. You know,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay,
You know, and stuff. But, you know, unfortunately, I got in some trouble and that killed that,
okay,
you know. But so then I started hanging out more and more. You know, it wasn't no forced thing.
right.
It was of my choosing,
Okay,
you know. So like I say, it's just a bunch of guys. We hang out,
right.
drink wine,
The
you know,
usual.
kick it with the girls, try to go to these little quarter parties on the weekend, which they didn't want us there because they always said we was starting something, you know.
All the brothers in your
Some of the
circle.
people around us, they disliked us,
Right,
you know, because we'd go to a party and we end up with all the girls.
pretty much. You had the best dancers, the best
Yeah,
dressers,
yeah.
so, you know.
So as time went on, David was still gone. And like you say, Charlie was our leader.
Mhm.
And we had some guys that we associated with that was across King Drive,
Okay,
you know, and Unfortunately, that's when I got in trouble.
What was that situation? Yeah, I mean, if you need not to talk about it, we don't have to. We can just fast forward.
We called it murder.
Okay. So now you catch the murder, you go inside. And I'm assuming you go to Stateville.
No, I was 15.
Oh, okay. So you go to the youth commission.
I got tried as an adult, me and my rappies.
Mhm.
And 2 went to Pontiac, and I went to IYC.
Okay.
You know, I stayed in there about 2 years. I came out, stuff was still going on, but I kind of chose at the time not to fit in. I started working and I started working at Comiskey Park, you know.
Okay.
And, you know, I was here, there, you know, they were still doing their thing. Then I come back in for a while and stuff, you know. But by that time, when I went to IYC, I went to where David was,
Okay.
you know, and he left me down there, you know. So I come home, and he just really asked me what I wanted to do.
Mm.
You know, I really was
As far as the organization is concerned, or
well,
just
I was
life.
still a part of it,
Okay.
but I was still doing what I wanted to do.
You're doing your own thing.
Right.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, we weren't obligated. David, like I said, David never forced us to do nothing,
Right.
you know. But as time went on, you know, I got more involved
Okay.
in what was happening and stuff, you know, but I was more of a mystery.
I get it. And I understand why, because I'm hearing the story.
I did things for David that people don't know what I did.
I understand. And we
You
don't
know,
have
so I turned and really I was an enforcer.
Where do we begin to develop into the idea of devil disciples?
Charlie Atkins kind of got into it with Laverne Longstreet and Bobby Longstreet,
Mm-hmm.
and he knew David was getting ready to come home, and he picked an argument with Laverne Longstreet and them and said, well, we're going to pull away from y'all, and we're not going to call ourselves the disciples no more. We're going to call ourselves devil disciples.
Okay.
That's how that came along. A lot of us didn't go for that name, and by him being our leader, we kind of had to go for it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody had wrote a letter and saying that David said he'll be home in maybe a couple months or something like this. And Charlie got resentment because he knew David was really our leader in a way of speaking when we was kids. David was the toughest and the baddest man, and that's who used to be the leader, whoever could outbox anybody or do things.
Now, that's a very interesting point. This gentleman's getting ready to come home.
Yeah.
He was pretty much the front guy before he left.
He was as mean as a junkyard dog, if you didn't know him. And he was too. Let me go back and even farther in time. Me and my cousin, Melvin Freeman, had paper routes. We were 12, 11, whatever, and we was going to Regal Theater to see them shows, the Temptation people you talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
We had just brought some Gouster jackets from Cherry to Teller, you know, save our little change and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know David then. And Melvin, we both looking good, getting ready to go and catch the bus to go. And David standing out front with them suspenders on, muscles broad, everything. And Melvin said, oh, he gonna borrow your clothes and ain't gonna give it back. Melvin went in the house and left me out there. David looked at me and said, hey, I like that jacket, can I wear it? I said, you gonna give it back? He said, yeah, I'll give it back as soon as I get through wearing it. I heard him chuck it off because this guy, I was a skinny guy, I was square. Yeah, take the jacket, you know. That's when I met David and I fell in love with him in a way of speaking.
Did he give you a jacket back?
Back 1972, 73, I bugged him so much about my jacket when we was kids and stuff. He said, how much did you pay for that jacket? I said, $200 and something, and I really didn't pay number $40 something.
Right.
I got him.
And he gave you $200 something.
Yes, sir.
This show has the intent to define what a real OG is, what an original OG is. My partner and I have developed a method to ensure that if someone should sit in front of this OG logo, that they have been authenticated and found to be true in their history as far as what an OG is. I saw, Cowboy, you were finna to add something to that. So I want to go ahead and let
It
you
was
do
about
that.
the jackets.
Yeah,
You know,
go right ahead.
our first jackets actually had a crown on the back of it.
Oh, okay.
you know. And when they came out with the devil on the back, I wasn't around. You
Okay.
know. And far as the name of Devil Disciples, my understanding was that, remember Big Nasty?
Yeah.
They was Devil Disciples over in Ogden Park.
Okay.
And people was getting us mixed up with them. So they say, I know we ended up with the name.
So about this time, you're pretty much attached to the name Devil Disciples.
Maybe they was.
No, I'm just talking about as a whole. I know
Well,
you two guys
I
said
can't say
you didn't want-
because, like I said, when I left, it was one thing, you know.
Okay.
And then when I came back home, it was
something else.
Something else.
So would you say about this time, everybody begins to gravitate toward Devil Disciple?
Yeah.
Okay, so now the idea of Devil Disciples was still to protect and maintain the peace in the community.
Yeah. I got away that.
Okay.
One reason I say I got away that, it was like Kilroy, Roy Dawson, Mickey Jenkins and stuff. They didn't go for that name, and they got into it with Charlie about that name. We had a big meeting and stuff, you know, and they wanted to go back to Disciples. Charlie knew David was coming home. And at St. Bernard, Herb Ken used to give dances around at St. Bernard Church back in the day. And that's when Charlie jumped up in front of Mickey's face and said, y'all gonna be dead or something. And you know, hey, what you talking about? You know, Charlie was my close friend too. I got along with everybody, but yet and still, Charlie called himself splitting the club up because of that, because David was coming home and he wanted to still be the Devil Disciples, and everybody else wanted to be just disciples because we was losing the meaning of that word disciples. You know, to help people and stuff, and Devil Disciple, when you put that devil on it, that means
Exactly.
you renegade, you
on another
a bad
spectrum.
spirit. you know.
Right.
So yeah, and that's when the club split it up from Charlie Atkins.
We have the concept developing, and now we need to put some foundation to it.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that you guys began to do is a free breakfast program. Is that correct?
Yeah.
What made you do that?
Well, we did a lot of things before the free breakfast program, though, but that made me get involved in the free breakfast program. Anna Langford, she was the first Black alder woman. She was crazy about David and she was crazy about me, and she tried to guide us doing the right things.
Okay.
Like Dr. Herbert Odom, and that was a good friend of Metcalf. And then Fred Hampton and Bobby Rush used to come on 63rd Street talking to us all the time, you know. And I kind of got tight with Bobby Rush and Fred Hampton, because when I got my leg broke, they used to come to my house to see me, and they knew I had a lot of things that I can convince David about, which I could, because David would listen to me about a lot of things. And he was saying, OG, the best thing to do, because we was trying to get the Inglewood Businessmen Association to give some jobs to us in the neighborhood. They wouldn't budge then, because back in the day, they was next to the loop as far as making money. And with the help of Anna Langford and everybody else, we got a meeting with them. But Fred Hampton said, you know the best thing you can do? He said, start a free breakfast program. He said, see if anybody hungry in Inglewood got kids and stuff. And I started a thing we used to call a businessman association. The guys used to run with me, and we looked for things to do, get a paper every day or find things to do in the neighborhood that was worthy, that was constructive, not destructive. And we did a survey. The businessman told us after we had a couple meetings to do a survey. And man, we found so many kids going to school hungry and, you know, and didn't have nothing to eat. And this lady that we had hired to be our cook, she had 4 kids.
Wow.
And Copper, a friend of mine, well, one of the guys, opened the refrigerator. She'd had some piece of stale meat in there, and that's all.
Wow.
You know. So we did this survey, and we found a lot of kids was home, and I told Fred Hampton about it, and Fred said, can I go to the Inglewood Businessmen Association with y'all, OG? I said, yeah, come on, all the help we need.
Wow.
And when he came up there, he skinned it, because we young now. I don't really know all the things to say and stuff, right?
Fred's how you think Fred is at this time?
Fred is about my age. I didn't know Fred was that young. But this time, he 18, 19, somewhere like that, you know. I think he had just got out of college and stuff, you know. So they came up there and we had to meet with the Inglewood Businessmen Association, and they agreed to start this breakfast program for us. but we had to bring documentation and we had to bring certain things to let them know. And what I did, I went and got one of their members, Judge Barber, to come with us so he could see how bad black folks was living. Because they were making all that money on 63rd and Austin now, and they wasn't putting nothing back. You know what they told me? They was donating to the Boys Club. Hell, ain't no damn Boys Club in Inglewood. It was a YMCA, but wasn't no Boys Club in Inglewood. And this is what I found out from Herbert Odom. And then when I went to Medcalf, when I met Medcalf, said, what Boys Club? Ain't no Boys Club in Inglewood and stuff.
Right.
So we told them that the percentage of y'all money that y'all making, y'all could save a lot, because a lot of guys that came in with us, and there was a lot of theft on 63rd and Austin, stealing and stuff like this. So we made a political move. If you know what I mean. We sent everybody up there to take everything out, every store they can have a little ride and stuff. We had another meeting with the Inglewood businessmen. I said, see, if y'all hired some of us in the community to be security to stop this, and y'all start this breakfast program, y'all can look like y'all doing pretty good to help the community out. So they did it. Then we started another thing. Fred Hampton told me this. He said, start something, a partnership deal with the Inglewood Businessmen Association, which it was good. My partner was Weinecker from Sears. He was a top manager in Sears and Roebuck. I heard he run the whole company later on through the years. Norman Kernis, we didn't know too much about the stuff that was going on in Africa there. His family had a diamond mine in Africa.
Wow.
Where them Africans was working for him, and they wasn't hardly making no money. Different stores and stuff, Weebo's and all them different big stores. And so they wound up starting in front of the breakfast program, and it went out beautifully. Beautiful.
Wow. Now, here's a relationship between you guys and Fred Hampton.
Yeah.
That's very unique. I've never heard that story before.
Yeah, because so many lies been told.
That's why
I just said this is the truth here. We never had it out with the Black Panthers. I heard rumors that we was getting into it with Fred Hampton and them. That's not true. Fred Hampton and them was getting into it with the Blackstone Range, and they really wasn't getting into it. He went to meet Jeff and them. They was at the church that Fry had, and they all pulled rifles out on Fred Hampton and Bobby Rush.
Wow.
And Fred was just trying to spread some love around, just trying to tell about how things was in the black neighborhood and stuff, And I started to understand that and get a feeling of that, and especially when I marched with Dr. King, and all them white folks was hollering about hanging the niggas, throwing bricks at us and stuff, and we wanted to pick up a brick and throw back at them because they hit one of the guys in the head with a brick.
Right.
And it almost happened. We almost lost it. But SCLC said, hold your cool, maintain your coolness and stuff, though,
Right.
We never did march no more because I couldn't take it. We couldn't take it.
Right.
You ain't gonna throw no brick at me and hit me and call me a nigga in my face and think I ain't gonna do nothing to you.
Exactly.
Ungana wanna.
So let me ask you, is this the time where the disciples began to register and legitimately become an organization? And who gave you the information, or you guys?
A guy named Michael Shane. He was older brother, smart. He used to hang with Jesse Jackson in the Cosmopolitan Chambers once. This guy was a pimp. I don't know what all Mike wasn't. But he wanted to hang with us so bad because he said we were so cool. He had a little woman that used to be with him named Strawberry, but he wanted to be with us because he used to see a lot of things, and he taught me a whole lot.
Right.
So yeah, that's the.
And he taught you how to
address myself, how to talk to people,
how to create an organization legitimately.
The first title, the first charter we had was in Black Disciples' name.
Wow.
We got cooperated. Then we had two more titles. This is with Larry Hoover, though, Southwest Leadership Conference and Southwest Youth Leadership Enterprise. And so we had these charters and stuff. And it was good to have charters because we was getting donations. Because Anna Langford said you better get chartered so, to do the right things and stuff. Because Anna Langford helped us a lot. She was really crazy. When David died, she just went in tears and stuff, And
she was an alder person.
She was the first Black alderman woman ever been in the city of Chicago.
Okay, so at this point, you become a legitimate organization.
Right.
This is not a game.
Right.
This is an organization.
Exactly.
And we need to be clear here.
Exactly.
Because they want to keep making us games.
Like they always do.
As if we're some type of cowboys or something.
Or get tails on our back.
So here we have an idea developing into an organization whose foundation and goals are to uplift the community.
Exactly.
The other organizations or the other groups that were out there, they too were developing in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we have 4 and 5 different organizations pushing toward the same goal. But we haven't gotten into the insanity of life yet.
No, we haven't.
So we got Jeff Ford. Give me a little bit more about the relationship between the disciples and the Blackstones.
It was ugly. At first, it was real ugly.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
They was recruiting peoples. And you had to join the Blackstone Rangers in order to live where you living at and they what they call so-called neighborhoods or hoods or whatever. We didn't do that. And like I stated earlier, we had some friends that moved over east, and there was a lot of guys over east started hanging with the guys that we knew that come from our area, right? So they started the East Side Disciples.
Okay.
And that's what my brother was saying. We kind of got into it with the Blackstone Rangers when we first got it because they got mad because we was growing so much in numbers and stuff and we was doing. And I heard a statement, they saying, how can them ragtails, young guys do
So-and-sos.
anything? Yeah, but they got fooled though.
Well, you can do a lot with the proper guidance.
You know, my thing is, when I first met Jeff, I'm a peacemaker. I didn't go for a lot of that because they used to always say, oh, I'm the only one that had some sense or would talk because Kilroy and them didn't like talking. Kilroy was like the warlord for the disciples. He didn't, he's a big muscular guy and can thump too.
Right.
But Kilroy was Kilroy. And he didn't want no peace. And I used to tell Gene Harrison, I wish we can get along some kind of way though, but y'all need to stop trying to recruit our guys, them East Side Disciples and stuff,
Right.
I think Gene kind of understand it. Gene was really the president of Blackstone Rangers. Jeff was like the vice president until Jeff took over completely.
Right.
Jeff didn't want to hear nothing. To me, he reminded me of Charlie Atkins.
Oh, okay.
Looking for power and madness and stuff. And he had all them guys that was in their 30s and 40s. A lot of them was college grad, university, telling them how to do things. And he had that Reverend Fry over there. So, no, we didn't get along with the Blackstone Rangers at all. And a lot of guys got killed behind all that. That's how the Blackstone Rangers came in play, and that's how the disciples, we came to fight them and stuff. But we started owning things. We brought a dance hall, the Trend on, and it was over east in the East Side Disciples neighborhood. And we used to invite Jeff up there to come up there when we had treaties. One thing I want to say, may I say this? We tried to start something with Jeff. We knew how to start peace treaties. And the first meeting we had, that was right when Dr. King got killed. We had, the riots was in Chicago, and Jeff and David met in Midway. And it must have been 3,000-4,000 of us, the D's and the Blackstone Rangers. We signed the peace treaty. It wasn't gonna be nothing. So David put a curfew on all the guys, the East Side guys, all the disciples. If you feel like fighting, you gotta be in the house at 8 o'clock. And Jeff did the same thing, and it wasn't no problem, wasn't no shooting, wasn't nobody killed. That's strong leadership. That's,
strong.
Yeah, that's leadership. That's why all the leaders are dead or either in the penitentiary because they figured you take the head away, the body gonna fall. That's not true. The body still rolls. And when the body rolls, that's the thing that you got out in the streets right now with all this craziness,
Right.
So it's a mess. My thing is, things been taken away from us so much as being a black man. Because I remember going to Lewis Champion School, and I remember, I didn't stay in school. I'm a street man. I learned all my knowledge from the streets and stuff and being around educated peoples. They used to hit you and beat you with paddles, the school teachers.
All of that.
I was in the room with Leop the Hester. It was in the papers and stuff that he's supposed to kill this teacher. Back in the day, they would go, each one of us would take turns going to get milks and cookies and stuff. This is before the disciples started, right?
Right.
And they blamed that. It was Leop the Hester. We all in the same room. They blamed that on him. Guess what? 60 years after that happened, they found he was innocent. The man that killed that teacher was a white man. The janitor killed her.
Wow.
And that man did all that time in the penitentiary for nothing. This is how we was treated, so.
I get it. So now, where's David at this point, Cowboy?
I can't really say because, like I say, most of the time I was on, as I call it, on vacation.
Right. I get it. So you haven't interfaced back into the organization yet.
I was gone again.
Okay.
You know,
Are you every time you leave? Are you taking this idea inside?
yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so now you're informing people
But see,
inside.
when you go in, you know, it's a whole different world in there.
I get it.
It ain't like it is on the streets.
I get it.
You got different people in there. They got different positions.
I
you
get
know, and want to call shots. You know, I ain't never tried to call shots, but I end up being put in a position because of who I was.
Well, I mean, the structure of things.
Yeah.
Let you know.
But like I said, when I went down, I was wild.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was just wild. I played baseball while I was gone and football, but I was still wild. I didn't want to hear nothing. Nobody had to tell me.
Right.
You know, and I didn't care.
So did he pass away while you were inside?
No, I was out.
Okay, so how did that happen?
Actually, when David passed away, I was in Detroit.
Oh, okay, so you weren't there.
No, I came home about the same week that they was getting ready to have his funeral.
Okay.
You know, and it was a big funeral.
Well, I'm sure.
You know, and I went to the funeral packing
I'm sure.
because I already know that it was going to be.
I'm
it was
sure.
gonna be some stuff.
Yeah.
It was a mess. He was
Everybody-
our leader.
Right, everybody was bucking for
Position,
position.
power.
You know, we didn't want it.
I
It
was
went
there.
crazy.
I helped the service and stuff, you know, and I spoke a little bit and I said some things though, but it hurted me because David was my best friend. I'm the only one that could talk to David. Sometimes I wanted to do something because David had his ways. He would always say, "Tell him, OG, tell him," because he didn't like to talk a lot. And I had to kind of read his mind, what to say, what he's
Yeah,
trying to say.
what he want you to tell him.
He beat me, hit me and stuff because he was a hell of a boxer. He knocked my front teeth. I got false teeth, not because of him.
Wow.
But we be playing,
Right.
you know. And I was so skinny and stuff, and he used to say, "I'm gonna toughen you up and stuff." Because David was a hell of a boxer, man. Him and Kilroy, they could have been pros if they
Right.
would have kept on. Because the English and the I know I'm throwing the conversation.
No,
off a
no,
little
no,
bit.
no, go ahead.
English and Warden Moore, when they used to run the Illinois Youth Commission, it's a guy named Danny. He was so small, so short, brother, and he was a hell of a boxer. And he taught David and Kilroy how to use that weight and them hands, you know, to use it like a boxer, like Sugar Ray Leonard, Muhammad Ali
Right.
and stuff. Yeah, so them was, I don't know. When David died, it broke me up. It broke my heart because the simple fact, I knew all these young guys, all these other guys shooting and bucking for position, and it got out of hand. And when they locked David, when David died, and they locked Jeff Ford up, I said, "This is it. It's gonna be a mess in these streets, you know." Because they had this thing, because the game intelligence used to do us so wrong. They would take a Blackstone Ranger, drop it out in our neighborhood and holler out Blackstone Ranger. They would take a disciple in
They
their
drop 'em
neighborhood.
in
You know,
Stone
all that old
neighborhood.
crazy stuff. They locked me up. Where we was giving the breakfast program, it was a 3-flat building. And it was a hot day, and I wanted to take a shower. I would go upstairs and
What was the address of that building?
60, what was it, 60, well, I'd be forgetting. I got that Ronald Reagan. It was on Halsted, 60, 39 or 60, 39, something like that, Halsted, you know.
So when did you
The
go?
young-
when
excuse
did you go to 444 63rd?
That was our
443.
that was our
444 was
first,
the first office.
that was our first office. We had 3 different offices up there.
Okay.
That was the first one. That's the first one when we met Fred Hampton now.
Okay.
You know, and how I liked it Fred Hampton so well, the game intelligence, you know, that's the police department, was on our case all the time. They used to come up there and try to talk to us. They really wanted us to get into it with the Blackstone Rangers because they had David to drive his car around there so they can lock up some Blackstone Rangers because Blackstone Rangers pull pistols out of them and shoot at them, and Jeff would get smart with them. And Fred Hampton was up there, and it's a good, you asked me that. And they got out the car talking to us. And Bobby Rush, I had never seen that before. You talk to a policeman, Fred Hampton said, "I'm gonna take your eyes out, you pig, you." And they were saying what they was gonna do to the game intelligence and stuff.
Wow.
And I'm looking, I'm saying, oh, and David looking too. And I was looking at David, I said, "Don't you do that. Don't you do that to him, David. Don't try that." You know. But they stood their grounds, Fred Hampton, because Fred said one thing that stuck with me, what I was really trying to say. He said, you up here and you starting all this trouble, commotion, taking these guys over east and calling Blackstone Rangers, and you the police department, you trying to get all the information you can from them, you know. And when the riots broke out and stuff like this, y'all were the ones holding them rifles, calling National Guards in and stuff. And Fred told him, said, no, you ain't gonna mess with these guys. You ain't gonna do that. He said, not while I'm up here. And he started calling them all kind of pigs and told them what he'd do to them and stuff. And I said, oh my God, that's easy. I wish I could do that. I did.
So fast forward,
Okay.
where does Mr. Hoover come into play?
Later on, they were supreme gangsters.
Exactly.
And we used to fight the supreme gangsters because they had killed one of our buddies, Solomon.
Okay.
And it wasn't that many of them, but they holded their grounds on 68 and Halsted, 68 in Peoria. And I don't know, was it Old Timer or James McFadden or one of them went down there talking to a lot of them supreme gangsterettes, you know, their girlfriends and stuff. And I used to tell David all the time that Larry is too close to us because we had heard that he went over there and tried to get with the Blackstone Rangers because he didn't have no clout with us. It was too many of us, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeff didn't make him a main 21, told him he can be an ambassador, and Larry told him to kiss his ass. See, if I can say it like that, you know, kiss his ass. And he came back and we found that out. And I told David, you got to send somebody up there to talk to him, man. It's an unnecessary fight, even though they killed the man is right next door.
Talk
and I was
about Larry.
thinking, yeah, Larry Hoover. Mm-hmm. I said, just think, David, if Larry was with us, we had the whole south side of Chicago tied up. And I guess it was Kiro Pucci convinced David to do that. So we had a big meeting in the church on 64th and Peoria, the church we had. I thought it was just a little, man. It must have been 500 of them supreme gangsters come down to the church.
Right.
You know. And David thought, well, he said, I ain't gonna just give you no leadership. I'm gonna make you a king next to me. And he had this little thing that he put on Larry's head, said, now you a king. So it's two kings. And we're not gonna call ourselves just the black disciple. We're gonna call ourselves the gangster disciple. So y'all can still keep some of y'all name because they was the supreme
gangsters.
And then we was the black disciple. So it became GD.
Right.
It became GD.
So this is when this mega powerhouse begins to get into play. And what happens with Larry right after that, he begins to have some problems.
Yeah, a lot of problems.
Okay, so let's look at that a little bit.
You know, they gave Larry all that time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Larry was a smart man, but you know, I want to back it up a little farther. May I?
Yes.
When them drugs hit our neighborhood, and there wasn't no way to make any money but drugs because all the jobs was taken away and you had to have a degree or trade in something, you know, because that's the reason we was closing construction sites down, you know, to send people to Washburn for a trade thing, way before Larry got with us. So when them drugs came into play, people's had to survive, so they started messing with drugs, a lot of our guys, Larry guys and stuff. And it just grew and grew. And I guess the Blackstone Rangers, the same thing, the Vice Lords, the same way. I really feel like this was planned. They brought them drugs in to divide and conquer us, you know. And I really do believe this. They put them drugs in our neighborhoods and stuff, the CIA and everything.
Do you have to believe that?
I know that.
Oh, okay. Because
I just used the word belief,
yeah,
so you can straighten me out correctly.
Yeah, I'm way beyond belief on that. We you know, clearly understand that
the neighborhoods are so tore up. All you got. A friend of mine came from New York. He said, OG, he said, if you think it's bad now with this heroin, wait till it's crack cocaine get here from New York, because everything come out of New York, come to Chicago. New York is faster than Chicago. And he wasn't lying. Mothers on that crack, you know, babies got on that crack and stuff. And it just deteriorated what little bit we had, man, it's a shame.
So the black family's up.
So, case in point, the organizations are doing what they intended to do, and here comes this silent weapon called drugs. That spins the whole concept of things into a whole nother world. Because if people are in a community and they're drinking orange juice and orange juice becomes a hot commodity, then the people in the community began to start thinking, how do we control this orange juice amongst us? Because that's where the profit is, you know, and these are our people. So if we're going to drink orange juice, we're going to benefit from the orange juice.
Right.
And that's what happened with drugs.
Right.
And they began to get the drugs in the community, quote me if I'm wrong, or catch me if I'm wrong, through people in the community.
Right.
I don't want to say the organizations, but I can't say that it didn't happen that way because it's documented.
It did happen that way.
Yeah.
It did happen.
So they infiltrated us in that way in order to achieve their goals.
Yep.
That's just the way, I mean, I saw it happen here on the west side. I was born and raised on, I was born on the south side. I was raised on the west side. I saw this man happen to us on the west side. I saw it happen to the brothers on the south side. I saw it happen all over the country. I saw it happening in New York in
That's
a way
what I'm
that,
talking about. What made me really pissed when the movie The Godfather came out, and
Already
all the
know.
mob was sitting down there, the Italians.
Already
and stuff,
know.
when he said, "We don't do drugs. We
give
give it to the niggas." You know. See, I always been a person that fight for equality, that fights for doing right things and stuff, you know. I'm like Marvin Gaye, make love, not war. You know, but all this mess that you see out in the streets and stuff, I just got this thing the way it was because I remember I got a lot of people some jobs then, back in the day one and stuff though, because a lot of guys were telling me they had trouble going to get jobs because they couldn't fill out the application, or they couldn't get hired or something, you know, so you got the school system ain't teaching you nothing because hell, they sure didn't teach me nothing because I stayed to sleep half the time I was in there.
Okay.
And you know, they didn't say nothing to me. So you got all these odds against us. My mother worked it from the Palmer House for 40 years. When I got in the Boy Scout, she had worked overtime just to get me a Boy Scout out uniform, you know, and stuff like this. But unfortunately, they kicked me out because I was still in candy at Walgreens. And I got my butt kicked something terrible for that, you know.
oh, I get it.
But I see things, and what I see as a nation, as a peoples, as a black peoples and stuff like this, you know, if we don't, how should I say this, come together, find some formula to stop this, ain't gonna be no black peoples out here, you know, because 70% of the black race, the black men's is in the penitentiary. The other percent is dead, you know. And now you got these shorties coming up 9, 10, 11, they out here doing wrong. They doing snatching cars, you know, carjacking, you know, gang banging, shooting. When that child got killed, 5 months old child, it broke my heart because they just shooting in the car. What he was talking about or what he wanted to say, back in the day, if I was looking for somebody, I'm gonna walk up to you and say, yeah, okay, bing.
You're the
I
one.
ain't gonna miss nobody.
Right.
I ain't gonna shoot from no block away. Hell, they can't see it, and they couldn't hit the broad side of a barn, you know, so why shoot and stand on the block and shoot? You're gonna hit somebody innocent, you're gonna hit somebody that ain't involved with you. Do like we used to do, walk up to the person, you know, and look them in the eye. If that's what you wanna do.
I understand if you're going to take care of your business.
The problem is, a lot of things been conceived about Larry Hoover, Jeff Ford, and David Boxdale. They all three had their own ways. Like they gave Larry Hoover 2 life sentences. They gave Jeff Ford 90-something years. I know the reason why, because he became a threat to the state. And them guards and COs in them penitentiaries don't like that because half of them belong to some missile group anyway, right? But they gave this man a life sentence. You know, Jeff kind of losing a little bit because I think they putting some in his food. This is what I heard. But Larry, 2 life sentences, and you got people out here that's killing. Look at this chump that shot President Reagan. He home. He shot the president of the United States. Larry Hoover didn't shoot the president of the United States. They give him 2 life sentences and stuff. And Larry is a genius now. All he did was went to school out there. If he can make a difference, Jeff Ford can make a difference in the street, but they done got so wild now, they got to watch what they do. because these young bucks don't know nothing about them, don't care. They just, some of them still idle to him and stuff like this. It's going to take everybody, to me, on a block. I used to call Billy the stick-up man. And it's
Who's
one Billy. I just named him Billy the Kid. I just throw that out. It's one Billy to every block that stay on every block in the city of Chicago or in the United States, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
That one Billy is doing all the damn wrong. It used to be that one Billy. Now guess how many Billies is to one block? 4. 4 Billies to one block. Now, I ain't talking about on the other side of the street. The other side of the street, like to be 5 or 6 Billies, you know.
Right.
That's a lot of peoples that's doing wrong. We as blacks, if we don't kind of get ourselves together, even in my own group of the peoples, which I'm not, I'm just OG, I'm retired. I told them I burned my general suit up a long time ago. If it's something constructive, I'll help.
Right.
I'll show you, but there's so much confusion within this, what's going on now. But if we don't get ourselves together and try to do something, we ain't gonna survive, man.
No, we're not gonna survive.
Black race.
And
You know?
I want to take it there. Before I take it there, I want to focus a little bit on Mr. Hoover. What do you think the chances are of Mr. Hoover coming home? And if he should come home, what do you think are some of the things that he could do to better the situation out here?
He has that name recognition. I think if he was home, he could make a difference, but he's not going to stop all this. It's too big for him.
Well, we understand that.
I think he would really make a big difference, though. But first of all, Larry's not coming home. They got a thing that they're working on getting his sentence reduced.
Mm-hmm.
And if they can get that reduced where he can live long enough to be home, because Jeff, I think he don't go in front of the parole board until he's 93, you know. So, but if they can lower his sentence where Larry can make out, I think he could help a lot, because a lot of people still respect Larry, but it's going to go back to that one I said. Everybody on this block, and they know Billy staying in that house. I mean, the neighbor, the winehead, the dope fiend, you know, everybody get together, because this mass killing, I don't care what you is. Let me give you another thing. I have to get to throwing stuff off.
Go.
I was helping Harold Washington when he was running for mayor. You know, I was award coordinator for Harold Washington and stuff. I went on 47th Street and all the prostitutes down there, I gave them badges, horn for Harold.
Right.
You know, so we're going to have to be together like that. You know, no matter what your occupation is, what you doing, if you was a stick-up man, go stick up a bank in Wyoming somewhere and then come back and give it to the cause. Right. You know, that's the only way we're going to side is because, brother, I'm going to tell you, it's rough out there. I wanted to come to this. I just heard about it, though, and I was reading the little thing up there and how they said stuff like the devil disciples, and then we had a crash with the Black Panthers. That's not true. A lot of false information. A lot of guys looking to be leaders and stuff, and a lot of guys see me, they don't want to really talk because I'm the beginning.
Exactly.
You know,
and you're still here.
Yeah, what they said, Omega and Alpha, Alpha and Omega, which will ever come first, I don't know. I call it anything, but still. I'm here, and they don't, because I know the truth. Right. I was there before day one, you know, and I did a lot of things, all the good things that was did. I had an organization myself. We call ourselves the businessman, disciple businessman, and that's what it was. Right. They used to call me Skinny Chief, you know, wow. And anything that I wanted. And when David didn't agree or I couldn't get guys right, I would go by David's house at 9 or 10 o'clock at night, when he half sleep.
And have that conversation.
And he said, okay, OG.
just go on, man. I get it. Hey, so if you had something, the two of you, and I each can have the floor to answer. If you had something to say to the brothers in the organization now that are not abiding by the original concept, what would you say to them?
Let me go first before you get long with it.
Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, a lot of these guys out here is not in the organization.
Thank you.
You understand? They renegades.
Thank you.
You know, they got their little cliques and stuff, you know, so we try to talk to them, but they don't want to hear nothing that we got to say, because one thing they say, we lived our life, which is true. You understand? And fortunate, I'm still here. He's still here. I look to be gone when I turned 21, before I turned 21. You know, I'm 73 now.
Right.
You know, these dudes here, they don't look at tomorrow. They ain't looking at what their kids gonna go through if they got kids. You know, they just run around here, wow. You know, so we know basically that these guys out here doing, they're not part of an organization.
Right.
You know, they just a group of dudes out here that just want to stir up trouble.
Clicking.
Right. But see, they need to stop. But see, they need to wake up on themselves, because that penitentiary ain't going nowhere.
I promise you that.
And see, and when they get popped off, then their mama crying. They got so much time, they crying. But you didn't think about that when you was out here jacking the car.
See,
I mean, we took cars.
No, I agree with everything you're saying.
You
Well, no, we all had our
I'm just
thing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I agree with what you're saying. The thing that I want to communicate is that this is all by design.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting here saying that everything that we just talked about went as smooth as it should have. When there are a lot of mistakes made there, you know. I come up in that area, you know. I come up under Ike Taylor and Face.
But the thing about it is, they should be able to learn from our mistakes.
I agree. And at the same time, I look at my life, and I should have been able to learn from your mistakes, but I didn't, because I was too much trying to be me. And I figured, you had your chance to do it. You didn't do it right. But I didn't understand the elements and the conditions that caused us to maneuver the way that we did. You know, there's a force out here that is trying, they ain't trying, that they're maneuvering us in a way that leads to self-destruction.
True. It's like somebody just took, look, there's so many guns on the street, where they come from. It's like somebody just came and dropped a whole airplane full down.
I was searching for knowledge once, because I've been a 100% angel in my life, right? I went and joined with Farrakhan, the Muslims. And I liked a lot of that concept that they used to say about doing things the right way and building for yourself and have money. But I didn't like that separatism and stuff. You know, I worked for IDOT for 28 years, and the white guys on my job taught me how to build swords. None of them black guys teach me this. The white guys, I don't believe it. I don't care if you from Mars and you got 7 heads and 5 eyeballs. If you're all right with me, you're all right with me. I don't believe in that race hate things. And I just want to say that if we show more love in this world, everybody participate and show more love, it'll be a better world. You know, even with these shorties out here doing wrong, we got to grab them, brother. We got to stop this madness.
We need, in my mind, to start thinking, how are we going to become an independent force that's going to benefit us without being the enemy of anyone?
Right.
Everybody want to bring oranges and fucking sell them to us.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? But we don't benefit off the oranges.
No.
We consume the oranges.
Right.
And then everybody benefits off the oranges from us and send the money back to China, send the money back to Vietnam, send the money back to... It's time out for this bullshit.
You know, the first thought come in my mind. My name is Orthus Commander. And I became an alcoholic, right? I'm gonna tell the truth.
Yeah, well, hey, I became a drug addict.
Right. So I went to this psychiatrist. They had me to go because they had me in this detox program, and my job wanted to fire my butt, right? And that guy asked me, he said, "What's your name?" I said, "Orthus Commander." He said, "What a unique name. Well, where did you get that name from?" He got mad with me because I said, when them ships sailed from Africa, brought my ancestors over here, my name's still been Commander. I've been looking on the computer and find out who is my ancestor. And every time I look on the computer and go down, they cattle ranch owners, they all white rich folks and stuff. And I want to do like Cindy Porter did. I just want to see who was my ancestor from back in the day so I can say, guess who's coming to dinner? It's me.
Hey,
You know, if we don't show no love and find out where we come from, if you don't know where you come from, you don't know where you're going. And if
It's
we
real
don't
simple.
show, and it takes you, me, and everybody else, I don't care what color you is. When I was with the Panthers, when they had a meeting, it's more white guys walked in there with them long things on, with them shotguns on there. And I thought, I said, Black Panthers here. These what God, they ain't black.
hey, to my two brothers here who are triple OGs, you know, we want to say thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
And,
I
you know,
appreciate it.
you're always welcome.
My brother.
That's it. That's all. We have created this show so that men and women alike can come forward and tell their truth. If you have people that you believe to be an OG, go into the comment section, write us, let us know where to find the history so that we can authenticate it, bring them on the show, tell their story so that we can add to the American history. That's it. That's all.
The original OG.